Hello everybody, welcome to Raising Vibrations, and you're with Simon today. And today's video we're going to be doing a little bit of chart of the day, looking at the astrology of the current moment, and maybe seeing if we can extract something from these current energies that can help us process through what we're dealing with at the moment. And I wanted to add to something that I feel has shifted for me personally within the work that I do, and also how these energies have brought up material for me to integrate into my own personal process. And one of them was the ability to recognize and specifically define what it is that this channel is about, and what it is that I try to offer or suggest or put through. And in alignment with that, I also noticed that this channel itself is growing at a faster rate than it has been in the past, which I'm super happy about. And so I wanted to kind of just introduce a lot of the new subscribers that are watching my material to what it is that I do. So we're going to jump into chart of the day, and before we do that, I just want to illustrate what I've been sharing. And ultimately, what I do is I help to, or aim to help you process and digest your reality through the experiences that we have from a sort of astrological perspective. Okay, so to try and make sense of reality, to try and make sense of what is occurring for us in our lives, and in a sense try to embody what those experiences and expressions could potentially reflect to us. And so the purpose of this channel, the purpose of these videos, is to give you something to contemplate about while you're processing and while you're dealing with the current phase or framework or situation of energy that is available to us here at the moment, right? So how can we make more out of what is essentially occurring? And I think it's really healthy to ourselves to be able to broaden our ability to digest what is occurring for us, because it helps us make more sense of things. And on another level, it gives us the opportunity to not feel consistently overwhelmed or disempowered by the level of material, raw data, which is what I like to call it, raw material that is essentially existing in the energy field that's around you, that you don't actually know consistently is there until there are critical impacts to very sensitive points within your psyche, and then all of a sudden you're dealing with something coming to the surface. And so you recognize that in your awareness, and then you kind of try to embody that. And my process is the ability to observe what is coming up so that you can then process that. Okay. All right. Cool. So chart of the day for the July the 8th, and let's see if we can actually switch over to the chart. Yeah. So I like this picture in the background. I wanted to share that last week, Saturday, I traveled to this location, and this is called the Astronomical clock, and it's situated in the city Prague. And it was really actually pretty cool to be able to go and witness this sort of mechanical structure that had been created a long time ago, and to digest its history and what it's gone through, and how what you see there. I mean, if you go onto the internet, I encourage you to do that. Go look at the Astronomical clock, and I will link a article in the description for you guys to go and read about the history of this clock. And why I found it really interesting was because I wanted to bring into context the nature of the energy at the moment, and how that to a certain degree relates to what history is held within this life of this clock, essentially. So go read the article. I encourage you to do that because it will kind of amplify the message that I'm putting across today, right? So let's just have a look at some of the energies that are taking place at the moment. Here we have something that's really important. I marked it over here. You can see Chiron, the asteroid Chiron sitting at 5 degrees Aries, and that's at station, right? So today it's stationary and then it's going to move retrograde. And I think that's a really big deal when Chiron moves retrograde. Yeah, I think it's a planet that for most of us, we're not fully competent on in terms of its what does it represent to us in practical terms in our lives. So for this energy to go retrograde now, I think it's pretty important. If you have a look over here, you can also see, if I just move there we go, there's Mercury, and Mercury's also got an S next to it, right? So Mercury is also about to go retrograde. In fact, some astrology sites will say it's the 7th, and this chart was drawn up today on the 8th, and so it's still in stationary, but essentially we've got Mercury going retrograde and Chiron going retrograde within a very close proximity of each other. So that's something really crucial to understand, because we've had a solar eclipse happen at 10 degrees Cancer, as you can see over there, 10 degrees Cancer, and that happened on the 2nd. And then we're going to have a lunar eclipse happen here in Capricorn, right? And that, if I'm not mistaken, is happening on the 16th of July. So during the period in which one eclipse pattern has come into our awareness and we're preparing for the next eclipse pattern to come into our awareness, being solar lunar eclipse, we have Chiron and Mercury retrograde during these periods. So what does that represent to us in terms of the pattern of energy that we will be working with during the next 6 months, right? This is crucial to understand. And this is really another way to be able to see the details, but also the delicacy of how, when reading an astrology chart and being able to access depth, that these little subtle things, like for instance an energy pattern that's changing, solar eclipses and lunar eclipses, that whatever is occurring between them is also just as significant. So here we have Chiron about to go retrograde, and in a very brief summary, Chiron will represent to us the ability to feel the difference between repression and liberation, and the capacity to free yourself from repression into liberation. So the ability to free yourself from oppression, from darkness, from the shroud of your own youth, as it were, and the tools necessary to awaken the depths of your individuality, your sense of deeper purpose or meaning that is not on the surface, right? It's not conditioned by the world's sense of purpose, but the essence of your own personal meaning. And Chiron facilitates the journey from a immature, limited self to a like learning about life through experiences that are sometimes really heavy to deal with, right? Rekindling lost parts of your self through wounding, through things that have not been friendly to you, and of course reclaiming your individuality in a way. So Chiron retrograde now in 5 degrees Aries, it makes a square. As you can see, I've highlighted it over here. It makes a square to Venus. Okay, see there's the square to Venus. And then you've also got over here the moon. Now, fair enough, the moon is not actually at 5 degrees Libra anymore, because I had drawn this chart up a little bit earlier in the day. But you can see that the moon sits in Libra, right? Which is, again, not coincidental. It makes the exact opposition all the way to Chiron. And then it also makes the square to Venus. So today it represents some sort of initiation in which our ability to shift our sense of emotional focus to be in alignment with what is true for us. This is kind of what I'm sensing from the energy, is the capacity to sense the shift that has taken place over the illumination of what occurred in our lives on the 2nd of July, when the solar eclipse was fully, vibrant and really illuminated in our awareness. I'm sure many of you felt the intensity of emotion just arise to the surface, and some of it was really hectic and really difficult to process through, and some of it was maybe a little bit more liberating, and in a sense you needed those experiences to shake you up so that there's something that you can do about your life in a way that is to restructure and to bring new meaning, new purpose, new sense of authenticity and truth to yourself. And so the energy of this retrograde Chiron and retrograde Mercury suggests the potential to reflect on the experiences that you've had over the last 6 months, but particularly what occurred for you during the solar eclipse. And it's setting the tone for the lunar eclipse in Capricorn, which, from my point of view, will primarily be focused on a deep sense of reflection upon what awareness came into your field during this solar eclipse, and then progressively beginning to work through what came to the surface. And the working through that came to the surface during the solar eclipse is what will mature you into a stronger, structured, more authentic, more freer sense of self. This is what I kind of pick up from the energy at the moment with these energies. And of course, the Sun is conjunct the North Node at the moment, at the exact time again that Chiron is retrograde. Mercury goes retrograde as well. So there's something deeply significant about the nature of these energies at the moment that seems to be supporting an ability to reformulate or restructure something in yourself that leads or lends you to be more real with what is in your life at the moment. And I think that these are really big questions to sort of contemplate or reflect upon. Yesterday, I was putting together a video that I'm going to be soon releasing called, Understanding Your Ascendant, or Your Rising Sign. And while I was doing the kind of research and the work for it and processing it through myself, I came to a very clear observation of the importance of understanding what the rising sign and ascendant represents. And one of the things that popped up straight away was the relationship that Cancer, the archetype of Cancer, has to Aries. Okay, and so why would that be in reference to rising signs or ascendants? Well, the ascendant is in a direct square, a 90-degree angle towards the 4th house or towards the IC. And the relationship between one's own sense of emotional, the safety or your capacity to feel safe, to then confront and be courageous, to feel deep emotions in you, is a very important part of understanding what is here to be discovered about yourself, which is ultimately what the rising sign is really reflecting. So in this process, I could see that this was something really crucial. This was really important to bring to the conversation, for us to begin digesting. And these energies at the moment seem to reflect a very similar pattern of what experiences do you have in your life right now that are pointing to the need for better nourishment emotionally, better care for yourself, better support for yourself. The Venus archetype that's sitting in Cancer at the moment is suggesting that the necessity for allowing your essential needs to be nurtured as a healthy product of being able to sustain longer periods of empathy, to sustain longer periods of keeping your heart open. And this is again another thing with Chiron, is like we will keep our heart closed when we've had damaging experiences to us, and we might actually close off completely parts of our heart. So there's an invitation, I think, with this energy at the moment to really reconcile past hurts, reconcile past experiences, and really spend some time just kind of like being with the events in your life right now, and nothing more than that. No in-depth psychological kind of analysis, just a sense of feeling, and allowing that to be just a part of your process. And I think that will probably provide some deep insight into what you might feel at some point as what is a representation of meaning in your life. And this comes back down to this Jupiter and Sagittarius energy here. The essence of meaning. And Jupiter's retrograde as well. So we've got Mercury and we've got Jupiter retrograde. So it suggests a very inward kind of reflective state of one's own philosophy, vision, Jupiter, and how we intellectualize that. How do we communicate that? So they're kind of very turned inwardly at the moment. All right. So two things that I wanted to mention for everybody. One is that we'll be doing a lunar eclipse video soon. I'm excited to do that. There's going to be a lot to talk about in terms of, the dynamic of what constitutes society, and how do we integrate within society, and what are important things to take into consideration when we're integrating with a societal role, and the role of the father within ourselves, and the importance of nurturing that process, the role of the mother inside of ourselves, and how those need to be really redefined and rebalanced within yourself individually before you can even begin to give power to the inner child. Because how could you possibly nurture a child's needs if your own mother-father complex is not sort of, in a sense, ironed out, so that the whatever it is that you internalized from mom and dad when you were growing up is not kind of projected onto your own personal inner child, and that then becoming the way in which the inner child doesn't get nurtured in the way that it wants to or needs to. You just kind of influence those projections onto there. So looking forward to talking about that. And one thing that I want to illustrate to everybody is also, because Chiron is going retrograde at the moment, I do want to draw your attention to the Chiron workshop that I have done. It's a 4-part video series. They're an hour long each, and I take you through Chiron's mythology. I teach you all about the nature of Chiron from an astronomical sense. I talk to you about the importance of Saturn and Uranus in the chart and what Chiron represents. I go into depth in terms of healing modalities, and I show you some charts of how you actually understand Chiron in your chart. And I also do Chiron through the houses as well as the 4th video. So there's a lot of material within this Chiron workshop that I created, and it's available on my site. And I'm pointing you in that direction because at some point when you feel the need to learn about Chiron in a way that's constructed to genuinely help you work with Chiron, this is the place that I feel is of value. One of the main reasons why I did that was specifically to help upgrade our sense of understanding of these archetypes, so that when we engage with it in our charts, we're engaging in our charts at the level that will probably provide us with the healing that is necessary for us at the moment. So that's on the website, and I'll put a link in the description below as well for you to go and check that out. All right. Okay, my friends, have a fantastic day at least, and I'll speak to you soon in another video. Take care. Bye-bye.